Welcome back to the Humble Market Timer YouTube channel. Once again, if you enjoyed the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. In today's video, we're going to look at crypto. Get your buy limit orders ready. Before I go any further, here's my disclaimer. Once again, these are my sole ideas, not investment advice. Now, in previous weeks, we've been monitoring Bitcoin and we've been looking at the price action, and we have started to get the vibe more and more that things are getting bearish. Now it looks like we're going to have a close below the 50-week moving average in that $94,000, $95,000 range. Typically, when you get multiple weekly closes below the 50-week moving average, that sort of represents the end of the bull cycle. So we have that one close, looks like we're going to have shortly. If we get one more, that pretty much puts the nail in the coffin. But there is some hope right now. But when you start to get this bearish action, you start to not look for Bitcoin or things that are starting to roll over and possibly get out of that bull cycle. You don't look at things as much from an investment standpoint. You look at it more from a trading standpoint, because when you do have these negative price action and negative sentiment, there's still opportunities to make a lot of money in some of the dips and bounces. So just looking at Bitcoin, as we talked about before, it's been trading sort of in a megaphone pattern here that we have on the way up. But as you can see, we are right at support in that 94,000 area. And one thing I can say, if we have a very negative week in the overall market, best believe Bitcoin will not hold up, and it will have further downside. So, we have a couple of different catalysts. We have NVIDIA. They're having their earnings on Wednesday. That's very critical to the overall market. There may be other things that may pop up that may continue to bring the market down. Again, I know Bitcoin has been on a bit of a slide, and crypto has been on a bit of a slide. But if the overall markets turn negative, because again, the overall markets are really only down a couple of percent from its highs. So if you really get a pull down, it's going to take Bitcoin down with it. So I think you need to look for where those areas can be where you can have a bounce and make a pretty good amount of money if you were to trade that bounce. And based on this chart, I think it's pretty obvious that if we do break this trend line that's acting as support right now, I think the next level that you can look for is right here, which is that $74,000, $75,000 range. I think that would be a very nice buy in Bitcoin. That represents maybe about 15 to 20% lower than where we are now. Historically, when you see those big drops in Bitcoin and crypto, particularly Bitcoin, if you see it in that 10 to 15% range for a daily drop or a 24-hour drop, that is a prime time to buy, because more than likely you will get some sort of a bounce, because there still are people who are interested in buying Bitcoin, even though it may look like we are losing that $100,000 range and we may be floating our way out of the bull cycle. But as you can see, this is sort of a range that I drew. You have support here and support here. We're acted as resistance here and acted as support here. There will be a ton of buyers in the 75 area that I think if you were to set your buy limit orders in or near that area, that would be an awesome entry to probably get a bounce, and the bounce will probably work its way back up to this acting support line that we have here. So you could possibly see a bounce all the way back up here, which would be in that 100,000 range, even if we were to drop to that 74,000 area. So if we get more downside in the market, look for a drop in Bitcoin through this line. It could be a pretty swift move down, but I do believe there will be lots of support in this 75, no lower than this 68,000 area. But I believe in that 75, 74, $73,000 area, there will be lots of support and you will get a bounce. That's Bitcoin. Looking at Ethereum. Ethereum has two very distinct trend lines that I drew. There's one trend line that's going horizontal here, and there's one trend line that I have that's going in an uptrend here. As you can see, look at how many times in this uptrending line it has hit this line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look at all these hits here. 8, 9. It has hit it multiple times. That lets you know that this is a very strong and critical line, and it has acted as support many times in the last 5 years. So as Bitcoin falls, the other cryptocurrencies will fall as well. They will not be immune. Ethereum will drop as well. That area, if it hits that area, I believe this is where you should look to put your buy limit order. That's about $2,350 right in that area. And again, if the market continues to slide, it will waterfall and free fall pretty quickly, possibly to this area, and that's 2350 area. If that area doesn't hold, the next area I have is this line right here. It has acted as support resistance several times as well. You look at it here, 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 you look at it here as well. So that line has acted as resistance and support several times. That is about 2150. So if 2350 is not an area, then that 2150 will also be an area that you could look to set your buy limit orders. Let's look at one more cryptocurrency. Let's look at Solana. Solana also is one of those coins that will not be immune. If the overall markets fall and Bitcoin falls, it will drop as well. It's had a sizable drop already, but I think it could have more room to go. You look here, we're in the 137s now, but I think it fits very well in this parallel that I drew here. Just to kind of confirm it, look at the midpoint line in the parallel. You can see the midpoint line also, multiple hits at the midpoint line. That lets you know it's a pretty good parallel. And if we were to slide further, you're looking at getting this area right in here as your buy area for Solana. That represents about the $100 mark. So if we get to, again, if we have a negative week and the price further slides, look for Solana to slide even further to that $100 range, maybe $105, $100, There will be lots of support in that area to see a significant bounce. So I think we could possibly bounce this week, but if we do have more negative sentiment and more negative downside in the overall markets, which is very possible considering we aren't down that much from all-time highs, Bitcoin and crypto will get pulled down with it. I think Bitcoin will be a buy in that $75,000, $74,000 area. Ethereum will be a buy in that 2350 to be conservative. So you could possibly set your buys a little bit higher, maybe in the 2500 to 2400 area. And then Solana, that $100 area would be a phenomenal entry to get good. You know, my name is the humble market timer. So I always try to figure out the perfect times or good times to buy stocks, solid entry, so you could get a nice bounce and get huge profits off the bounce. once again, I think we may be in the end of the bull cycle. We're moving into the bear cycle, but with that being said, there will be bounce opportunities to make a lot of money. Hope you like the content. Be on the lookout for those prices. If you like the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.